Welcome to another episode of In the Zone. I, of course, am your host, Chris Broussard, and boy, do we have a show for you today. We have none other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar joining us on the set for a great one-on-one interview. Of course, after that, we'll go to Knockdown Jay with my man, Jason McIntyre. You know, and in talking to Kareem, we talked about a lot of things, including the current Lakers, including the current point guard, Lonzo Ball, who everybody's talking about. Kareem, like many, said he's been underwhelmed so far. Now, Kareem's running mate in history, of course, Magic Johnson, he said he thinks Lonzo's going to break many of his records and become an all-time great Laker. I, for one, do not think Lonzo will ever be a top 5 Laker of all time like Magic Johnson is. And that got me to thinking, who are the top 5 Lakers of all time? It's a tough list to make because there have been some tremendous ones, but I'm going to give you my top 5. At number 5, Jerry West. People don't really understand how great of a player Jerry West was. He averaged 27 points a game for his career. That is 4th best all time. Jerry West averaged more points per game in the playoffs than every single NBA player in history other than Michael Jordan. Jerry West led the Lakers to 9, can I say it? 9 NBA Finals appearances. He only won 1, but it wasn't really his fault because he balled out. And if we went off the court, Jerry West would probably be number 1, be Mr. Laker undisputedly, because he was the GM during the Showtime era with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson. He was the guy that put together the Shaq-Kobe Lakers that won 3 titles in a row. So Jerry West, number 5, all-time greatest Laker. At number 4, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq would almost certainly be higher on the list if he had played his whole career, or at least more of it, with the Lakers than with other teams. He only played 8 years with the Lakers, but boy, what an 8 years they were. He won 3 championships during that time, of course, the three-peat with Kobe Bryant. And Shaq was unstoppable during that three-peat. He averaged 36 points and 15 rebounds during the Lakers' 3 finals appearances in which they won all of them. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest players of all time, number 4 on the Lakers all-time list. At number 3, the man we're talking to today, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem, I believe, is the greatest player ever to play for the Lakers. So the greatest player ever to play for the Lakers, but a lot of his best years, many of his best years, were in Milwaukee before he got to the Lakers. He won 5 titles with the Lakers, of course, Showtime. But the last few, he was past his prime. Certainly the last 2, maybe the last 3. So he wasn't always at his best throughout his Lakers tenure, but he had the best shot of all time, the sky hook, and that enabled him, even past his prime, even into his late 30s and early 40s, to still be a big-time scorer, particularly down the stretch of games when the Lakers definitely would need a basket. They still could go to an aged Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So just for those reasons, I've got him at number 3, even though he's the greatest player ever to put on a Lakers uniform. At number 2, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, of course, 5 championships with the Lakers. Yeah, Shaq was the man in the first 3, but Kobe was a tremendous number 2. You might even say 1A for the last 2. He averaged 25 points the second year and killed it in the 3rd championship. Kobe Bryant then, without Shaq, wins 2 more titles with Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum. And then when he wasn't winning titles, he was lighting it up individually. 35 points a game in 2006. That's the highest scoring average for any Lakers player ever. I mean, you're talking about Wilt Chamberlain. You're talking about Elgin Baylor and all the people on this list. None average as many points as Kobe Bryant. And of course, who could forget the 81-point extravaganza, second only to Wilt Chamberlain when Wilt played elsewhere. So Kobe Bryant, number 2 on the list. Tremendous Bean Bryant, Black Mamba. At number 1, of course, the Magic Man, Magic Johnson, like Kobe, won 5 titles. But Magic was the architect of the Showtime Lakers, the architect of the greatest era we may have seen ever in basketball. He, along with his rival Larry Bird in Boston, resurrected the NBA. And Magic Johnson, sorry Kobe, but Magic was the most exciting player in Lakers history with all his no-look passes, behind-the-back passes, tremendous showmanship, obviously a winner, got to 9 NBA finals, and was a very unselfish player. Didn't mind playing second fiddle to Kareem and just running the show, even James Worthy at times as far as scoring. So Magic Johnson, the ultimate winner, is the greatest Laker of all time. All right, well, I want to welcome to In the Zone the definition of a living legend, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you in the zone.
Nice to be here with you, Chris.
You going back to UCLA, is there one memory above all that sticks out to you about those years?
Geez, I think, my junior year when we beat Houston in the semifinals and put to rest all those ideas that we weren't the best team in the country, that was very satisfying.
Yeah.
As far as my basketball career is concerned. But being out there in Drake Stadium and getting my diploma, I mean that's why I came to UCLA, and that was a very satisfying day. It had nothing to do with basketball, but I was the first person in my family to get a college degree.
Most athletes or most basketball players aren't getting that experience now because, the best ones are one and done.
Yeah.
You obviously would have been able to be a one and done if you were coming up today. Do you think you would have stayed to try to graduate or even longer than 1 year? Or how do you think you would have looked at it?
That's hard to figure out, because there's so much money involved now. It wasn't just, a couple $100,000 like it was when I was coming out. You're talking serious wealth now. So that changes it. But, I really like the example of what the University of Wisconsin did, those 2 years that they went to the NCAA finals. And everybody in the basketball program made a commitment to stay there and learn and win together. And that was a nice thing to see. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and that doesn't happen much anymore. And to see them be as successful as they were, so I really try to give credit to Coach Kruger and his recruits because they set a really fine example for what college sports could be about.
What's your feeling? There's been talk now that Commissioner Adam Silver in the NBA, they may get rid of the one and done rule, let guys come straight out of high school again. Do you have a feeling on what you think should be done?
I do. I think it should be you need to be 21 years old or have an associate's degree.
So that's basically 4 years in college.
Or have an associate's degree.
Okay, so at least 2.
Go to JC, learn something, learn how to be on time. All these things that make you a better adult and more capable as a professional, I think would help the game. The one and done thing, it's terrible, and it's ruined college basketball to some extent.
College is definitely suffering.
Right.
I think the teams that win now couldn't even compete with the top 30 teams 15 years ago.
And just to see a team with a lot of juniors and seniors that can play well, there's an obvious difference there. And so I think the NBA would be protecting itself because that would force guys to stay in school a little bit and learn the things they need to learn, and then they won't come into the NBA and ride the pine for 2 or 3 years as they learn it while they're in the NBA.
What would you say?
Much less time.
What would you say to those? Obviously you mentioned earlier the financial aspects.
Yeah.
Some are coming from tough circumstances. They feel like, hey, I'm 18 or 19. I should be able to make this money. What would you say to the families that are like, look, we just want to get in and get this money, and that's fair?
That's fine. They have a D-League.
So you think they could go straight out of high school to the D-League?
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing for them and the NBA because then the NBA gets a chance to see what these kids are all about. A lot of them are just, they're the right size, they can dunk a basketball and shoot it, and they think that's all they need to do, and, where's my $15 million? And that's not doing the game any good. And it's not good for these individuals. They don't realize it, but they're suffering also because their development is really, it truncates their development.
Just as people or
as people, and if it doesn't work for them, if they can't make it into the NBA, they see themselves as failures.
What do you think of the quality of play in the NBA today?
It's all over the place. You got some guys that are really talented, and then you got some guys that don't know the game very well. But there they are.
You were obviously a back-to-the-basket center. Most big men were at that point. What do you think today? It's a lot of three-pointers, very little impressive post play. When you see that, what goes through your mind? It's so different from the way you played.
I think that the fans are being cheated because there's no balance now. Everything is, we've got to run out and shoot a three-point play. When I played, there was some balance. We tried to use the inside game to set up the outside game, and vice versa. The guys on the outside, when they got the ball into the pivot and I was getting these high percentage shots, it forced the defense to sag a little bit. It gave them more room on the outside to do their thing. Yeah. So that type of balance and cohesion, it's not happening now. I think the fans are getting cheated a little bit on the quality of the general game plan that's being played out now.
You had, I'd say most people say the most unstoppable shot ever, the sky hook. Why don't players, and I think you and I have talked about this in the past, but why don't players use that, especially centers?
Nobody's teaching it to them when they're in grade school. Guy showed me the George Mikan drill when I was in the 5th grade. I started working on it. Within 2 years, I had the shot down because, I wasn't a starter in my grade school. So I had.
That must have been a really good grade school.
No, it wasn't. But when you're talking about something, I look like one of those newborn colts, with the legs shaking and everything. That's what I looked like. But I had something to work on. Yeah. So in the summertime, I'd work on it, and the custodian of my grade school gave me the key to the gym, so I could get in on those cold nights in the winter. Mr. Kelly, he was, make sure you put the chairs back. I said, all right. But, I'd go and, I had something to work on. So by the time I got into high school, I had the hook shot down because I learned it the right way. Yeah. And, you can tell guys who have learned how to shoot the jumper right away, their dad or somebody has showed them Steph Curry, right? Yep. Dell, that's one hell of a mentor to show you how to shoot your J. So that's why Steph is as awesome as he is. I remember they showed him on ESPN, I think. He shot 100 practice three-pointers. He made 92, including 77 in a row.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That noise you just heard is my jaw dropping again, That's some serious work.
You worked with the Lakers when Andrew Bynum was there. I don't know if you've worked with other big men. Did you try to teach anybody the sky hook?
Andrew was doing pretty good with it, but then, he signed his contract for $50 million, and then he decided that I didn't know anything, and, that was that.
Stop working on it.
Yeah, and he stopped working on it, and he wasn't in the league too much longer after that.
No, you're right.
Another year he was gone. But Andrew was getting it.
Was he doing a sky hook or more of a jump hook?
He was doing more of a jump hook, but he was learning how to use his length and that shot, and how to set himself up around the basket to get easy shots. Yeah. And it was a plus for the team. We won 2 championships there.
We've got a sky hook. Someone from Fox. You go get ahead and show Kareem. I'm going like Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar, sky hook. I'm telling you. Abdul-Jabbar. They don't know nothing about that.
That's true.
How was the form on that?
It was okay. Look, you got it in. That's what it takes. You set yourself up, and they can't get to the ball when you're in your
Can't stop
shooting mode. They can't, because they can't time it and space it the right way. It's set up that way.
I gotta ask you this: how would your Showtime Lakers fare against the Golden State Warriors, who are the dominant team today?
Oh, we would have done very well, but we'll never know unless we can put those two teams out on the court and actually put it to the test. But I'd say, we would get really good post-up production from myself and James Worthy. I know that.
Draymond Green couldn't guard you.
And I don't know what they would do with James. Okay? So it might come down to, can we guard their perimeter shooters?
Could you get out? You didn't have to at that time, but, you'd have to probably get out on the perimeter and guard.
Right. I wouldn't do that. I'd make sure that they didn't get layups or second shots. That was my job. And I did that pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I would try and do that. And I would force them to double team me, especially, if I could get JaVale. Oh, my God.
Would you guys... Well, that's it. You guys would have just pounded it in. I mean, you would have went for 60, 70.
Not necessarily, because they would have done something about that. But then we'd have Byron and Magic and Mike Cooper on the perimeter at that point, and they'd be getting wide open shots. Can you see Jamal? Getting wide open shots.
Yeah. So you guys win in how many games? 7-game series.
I'd say. I think we could win in 6, and it would depend on how they interpret the rules.
Well, the rules are so different.
The hand check. We played with hand checking. I want to see Steph make all those shots from 35 feet with somebody with the hand on his hip and bumping him on his body. That
makes it a lot. How much tougher for the average fan? I don't think a lot of people understand.
They don't understand how much more difficult it is to make a long shot when you have that kind of unsteady foundation. Because somebody's bumping you and got a hand on your hip and trying to keep you off balance. And you can't do that now. And, with players like LeBron, it doesn't matter. But the interpretation of the rules have changed to facilitate those outside shots. So, I think it's a different game now. The game has evolved a little bit. It's not the same. But it's still a great game. People enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
You mentioned LeBron. A lot of people talk about who's the greatest player of all time, LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And I mean, you're 6-time champion, record 6-time MVP, leading scorer in history. Do you feel like you don't get your just due?
I think that people oftentimes overemphasize style over substance. All right, so Michael Jordan's style was incredible. It's so athletic and flashy, and I didn't have that. But the effect of my game was win.
Pretty impactful.
So that's a hard thing to determine, because people would give it to Michael just on he just looked so good doing it.
Yeah.
And he was a handsome young man and stylish. That. So I think that affects people in a way where they're not objective.
When he came into the league, you played against him when he was young. What was that like playing against him? What did you think when you saw him?
As soon as he came into the league, he started leading the league in scoring. So I knew he could do it. And James Worthy said, "Watch this guy. He's gonna be something." And he was absolutely right.
So who do you think is the greatest player of all time?
I think we can't determine that. It's impossible to determine that. How are we going to get Jerry West to play against Steph Curry? Steph would have had a tough time with Jerry. I'm telling you right now. Oscar, would have worn some of these guys out.
Yeah.
There's no way of comparing it.
What do you have a Mount Rushmore of NBA players?
I have a pantheon. And the circle has to keep getting bigger because there's more and more great players coming through that deserve to be in the circle. So, I just try to acknowledge everybody, and, I let the people that go to sports bars, they can argue about it. They order their wings and their brews, and they can start arguing. but we're not going to figure this one out. Can't figure it out.
Who was the best player you played against?
Oh, man.
Whether you guarded him or just it was a different position?
The best center?
Well, best center first, yeah.
Nate Thurman was the best guy that guarded me. I had a tough time guarding people like McAdoo, Dan Issel, guys that could shoot it good from the top of the key. They took me out from where I played my best defense. Yeah. The best guy I played against might have been, Larry Bird, someone like that.
How good was
Michael
Bird?
Jordan.
I don't think people
don't
look
appreciate
at him and think,
they
he's
said,
a white guy,
he's
slow guy.
a chubby white guy. He wore us out, man. Because this muscle here, the one between his ears, that was his best, because he made the three-pointers and he had assists and rebounded, steals. He was always at the right place at the right time on the court. One of the great players I had the opportunity to play against.
Do you have an opinion? Bird was, like you said, one of the greatest of all time. Jerry West, Dave Cowens during your day, Rick Barry. We haven't had a white American superstar probably since John Stockton. Do you have an opinion on why we see good white European players, great ones, but not American? Do you have an opinion on why America's not producing great white players?
I think that there might not be any interest in doing that.
Other sports
and other things, and too many white families have they have enough to do counting their money,
All right, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are kind of linked together. What was it like playing with Magic?
It was great. Just what he brought to the team in terms of his competence as a point guard, and then as an emotional leader, that's incalculable. What he gave you. That very first game where he went nuts after I hit the shot, and I was like, hey man, look, we got 81 more games. I'm going to be pragmatic, but he made it possible for me to see that it was all right to enjoy the moment.
Okay.
And I needed that. I didn't.
Did it take you a while to?
It took me a while to adjust to being able to enjoy winning like that and having some laughs, and that was okay. Prior to that, it wasn't okay for me.
Why was that? Why was that your mentality?
Different generation.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that. That wasn't an issue for him, so it enabled me to loosen up.
Because people, I mean, a lot of people say they thought you were aloof as a player, and some even say mean and stuff like that. Do you think those descriptions were accurate?
No,
okay.
No, they weren't accurate. But I was just very reserved, and I didn't want to be criticized, so I tried to I was wrapped too tight, as they say.
Yeah.
I was wrapped too tight, and playing with Irvin allowed all those inhibitions, let that go. We're winning. All of a sudden, it's showtime. It was a change in the character of our team that we really benefited from.
Lonzo Ball, another player, Magic himself has compared him to. What do you think so far of Lonzo? I know you've talked about that.
I don't think Lonzo has shown that he's an overwhelming talent. He's got a lot to learn, but he definitely has skill. He's great court vision. He's going to have to play a lot better defense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to shoot the ball better. But he's a rookie.
Yeah. We talked about as a player what you're at. You were kind of, like you said, kind of closed up, but now it seems like you've really come into your own as a writer.
Yeah.
I mean, you regularly write for The Hollywood Reporter and are talking about a lot of these issues that we're discussing. You've just written your 14th book, Becoming Kareem, Growing Up on and Off the Court. How do your accomplishments off the court or post-career, basketball career, as terms of the satisfaction you gain from it compared to the satisfaction you got from your accomplishments on the court?
Well, it's really nice to have a second life. That's been fun. 5 years after I retired from the NBA, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So I wrote my first history book, and it was fun. I didn't know if it was going to be fun. It was satisfying, but I didn't know how much fun it was going to be. But once I got my teeth into it, I'm glad I did it.
You wrote your first non-basketball book, I guess, was Black Profiles in Courage.
Yes.
Do you feel like, I feel like a lot of, as an African American myself, we as a people don't know enough of our history.
Exactly.
Whether it's African American history or African history. Do you feel that way? And what do you think is the solution to
That's why I wrote my book. That's why I wrote it, because Black Americans don't understand what they've contributed. Black Americans have contributed so much to what makes America great. Mm-hmm. If we appreciated that, we would have an easier time doing the things that we need to do to realize the full fruit of all the possibilities of being an American citizen. We're still trying to get to that point, you know, and our country's over 250 years old.
Yep, yep.
So you know, we've come a long way, but we still have work to do and a long way to go.
You also did some acting back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Your part in Airplane was legendary.
Yeah, it was.
That cameo. How'd that come about?
The Zucker brothers they're from Wisconsin, and they had seen me play with the Bucks. Yeah. They wanted Pete Rose for that role, but they were shooting the movie in the summer. Pete was working. So I got a shot at it.
Well, last thing, I'll let you comment on your book. Again, you've written 14. This one, I believe, is for young readers.
It's for younger readers, and I want them to, the whole idea of the book was to give them an idea of how to make choices, how to pick mentors, because mentorship really enables you to learn from the people that have been there. If you have an interest in something and you talk to people who have done it, been there and done that, you can skip over making a whole lot of dumb mistakes and come into whatever it is you want to do without the bruises and scars that you have to do it if you had to learn on your own. Yeah. So it's just trying to show how I accumulated some wisdom and how I learned from the various mentors that I had, starting with my parents, but including Bruce Lee and John Wooden, Wilt. You know, I learned from a whole lot of people.
Did you play with Wilt at that time? Like, ever play basketball with him?
Wilt would come to the gym up in Harlem, and he used to lift up there. And sometimes I'd go in there with him, and we'd play horse. I used to beat him in horse.
You played Dr. J 1-on-1, right?
Yeah, we did a match after I retired.
And you won that.
Yeah, I beat him. Yeah.
So you had to get out there and guard him.
Yeah.
People didn't look at you as guarding on the perimeter, but you had to. Obviously,
I made 2 3-pointers and took them to the hole a lot. It was. I got even for 1983, was it?
Yeah, that's right, when he had Moses Malone. Well, Kareem, this was great. Thank you for joining us in the zone.
All the best, Chris. Good luck with your show.
Thank you. Wow, what an interview with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Such a pleasure to talk to him. And to go from Kareem to this, quite a drop, I must admit.
Oh, come on, Chris. Show some respect up in here. Jeez.
Nah, my man, Jason McIntyre. I like to call him J-Mac. That was awkward,
That
man.
was very awkward,
Just,
yes,
you
yes,
know.
yes.
But hey, you're in the zone. You're in the zone. What do you have for me today on Knock Down Jay?
Actually, let's start with your top 5 list. You cool with me going there?
Perfect.
Okay. Chris, Kobe Bryant is way too high on your all-time Laker rankings. Kobe Bryant, a phenomenal Laker,
Don't
great
give him
NBA
love
player.
when you're going to diss him. You're about
Listen,
to diss him in about 10 seconds.
Okay, fine. Here's the diss. I got to slide him from 2 to 5. Now, is that a diss?
5th greatest Laker?
Is that a slight? We're talking
Yes,
about
it's a
all-time
slight.
greats. Magic Johnson, the best point guard ever. Jerry West, the logo. Shaq, one of the best centers in NBA history. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the leading scorer in NBA history, I believe. It's not a slight to knock Kobe down, but here's why I have Kobe 5. He rode shotgun very admirably to Shaq for 3 of those titles. Shaq was a Finals MVP. They couldn't have done it without Kobe, no denying it, but he was number 2.
So we take the title away
No,
from him?
we don't. It just knocks him down. Oh, was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ever number 2?
Yeah.
He won a finals.
Yeah.
MVP at, I believe, 37 years old.
Kareem, yeah.
Jerry
that's
West is the reason the Lakers went to 9 straight finals. Primary reason.
Kareem was out of his prime for the last 2 championships and probably the last 3.
And he won a finals MVP.
He averaged 14 points a game the year they won his last title.
And
17 points a game the year they won his 4th title with the Lakers.
At 37, he was a
Oh, he
finals
was
MVP.
phenomenal.
Kobe
He
was in
still
his
had the sky
prime,
hoops.
couldn't eclipse Shaq. But again, it's not a
Who
knock.
does eclipse Shaq?
Exactly.
Shaq is arguably the best
You-
big man ever. Arguably.
You just eclipsed Shaq by putting
Yes,
Kobe ahead of him.
because Shaq only won 3 titles with the Lakers. How many Kobe win? Do you know?
I don't know.
Do you
1,
know?
2, 3, 5.
5.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, where's the argument?
So you're a rings
He
guy.
gave you 5 titles.
So you're a rings guy.
No, and he was phenomenal individually.
Okay. I just want to hold you to the rings thing. We don't have to go into this forever.
Remember, I told you a few weeks ago, it's a gumbo. It's a stew.
Oh, it's a stew,
So
yes,
rings
you're
are a
great
part
line.
of the stew. Rings are the sausage, the andouille sausage.
Okay.
But statistics are the
Andouille.
shrimp.
Who is this guy, a chef?
Yes,
Jeez.
I'm a chef when it comes to gumbo. You know I'm from Louisiana. Kobe 5 rings, Shaq 3. Kobe played his entire career with the Lakers. Shaq
Well,
only
he-
played 8 years with the Lakers.
Kobe kind of ran him out of town because he wanted to be the
Whatever.
man, and then he wanted to play with Smush Parker and those
It
guys.
wasn't all
Kobe
on
ended
Kobe.
up saying, "Oh yeah, I just want to get mine. I want to get my 35."
Well, and he
a go-"
did get 2
Yeah,
rings.
he got 35 a game and didn't win squat. And then when he realized I can't do this by myself, I need some help. Let me get Pau
35.
Gasol. He's lucky he got Pau Gasol. Okay, he is lucky.
Well, hold on. You
because
just
he ain't
said
winning no
earlier
more titles.
nobody can win it by themselves.
Exactly, but when you're
Has
number
LeBron
2,
ever won it without other great players
LeBron's
around
been
him?
in finals
Has Shaq
MVP
ever won it without
every
other great
single
players
time
around him?
LeBron's won a title.
Yeah, but I'm saying they still need great players.
do, yeah.
Kyrie hit the game-winning shot. Do we gonna take that title
No,
away?
not at all.
Does that detract from LeBron's greatness because he didn't hit the
if you're
game-winning
trying
shot?
to make up some fake news argument about Kyrie versus LeBron, greatest Cav ever, that's not happening. But this is Kobe. All I'm saying, and again, Kobe's an all-time great.
Who has the highest points per game average in Lakers history?
How many
for a
games?
season?
How many more games
for
did he
a
play?
season?
Well,
No,
it's got
for a
pro-
season.
I don't know. Jerry West,
Kobe Bryant.
Oh wow,
35.
stats.
Of
Give me
all-
the stats,
of
baby.
all the great players to play for the Lakers, none average as many points for a season as Kobe Bryant.
Okay, so you're a points
Kobe
guy.
scored
I got
89 points. It's,
So Chris
remember,
likes
points,
rings,
Points
he
is
likes
the okra.
points. Okay.
Points is the okra in the gumbo.
So you love Dominique Wilkins, right? I mean, I could go on and on about points and stats. I think we should move on because that's a loss for you early. Out the gate, I just destroyed your top 5.
5th? I mean, I
How
love
is
the
that a
logo.
slight?
I love the logo. The logo had 1 ring as a player. Come on.
In the finals 8 or
How
9
you put-
times.
But he won 1. How you putting him ahead of Kobe Bryant?
Doesn't getting there matter?
Yes, and Kobe got there as well. Kobe got there, what, 6 times? 7. Kobe's in 7 finals and won 5.
Is Kobe?
I am
are you-
demolishing
Are you
you.
texting Kobe when we're
Oh
done with
my
this? You got to see what I said
gosh.
to J Mac. All right, let's move on. So second
Yeah,
topic.
we better move
Chris, we've seen the Celtics off to a hot start. I'm telling you right now, undeniable. Kyrie Irving is better off without LeBron James. And let me quantify this by saying over the summer, all anybody said was, "Oh, Kyrie's never going to make it by himself." We saw him pre-LeBron. We saw him. He can put up stats. You love stats. You love points. But he ain't winning nothing. So now Kyrie's actually taking a step back statistically, right? We talked about this.
stats are not
Stats are down,
as
but
good as
guess
they
what?
were in Cleveland.
They got the best record in the league. He's playing with a rookie, Jason Tatum. 4 new starters in Boston. They lose Gordon Hayward. We've already been through it. I believe he's the MVP. I believe he's better off without LeBron. Now, you could argue, hey, he's got Brad Stevens, the best coach in the league. Understandable. But again,
That's true.
16 straight games for the Celtics that they've won. We don't know how long this streak could go. This could be one of the best streaks. He's playing so clutch in the final 5 minutes of games this year. Take over. Shooting over 50%. 0 turnovers. I mean, I just think we're seeing prime Kyrie Irving just scratching the surface. Remember, no Gordon Hayward yet.
I love Kyrie. I don't disagree with anything you said for the most part. I shouldn't say anything you said. But look, he's playing great. I have Harden as the MVP.
Right.
We'll see if Chris Paul's return takes away from some of Harden's statistics. But Kyrie's a close second. However, I would say he's better off now because he landed in Boston. The Cavaliers probably should be kicking themselves because they traded Kyrie to a great situation. He's got a phenomenal coach. He's got good talent around him. He is going to be in the championship contention for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Contention. Doesn't mean they'll win it. The Clippers were in contention the last several years. No, I mean, you want to be one of those 5 or 6 teams that people talk about as having a chance to win the championship. And Boston will be there, okay? However, he was fortunate. I wouldn't say overall in any situation he's better off without LeBron. He's lucky he didn't get traded to Phoenix, which was a possibility.
It was.
If Kyrie Irving, as great as he is, had gotten traded to the Phoenix Suns, they would not have made the playoffs, okay? And if you don't make the playoffs or aren't even close, guess what? In the West, where their talent is abundant, you aren't even making all-star teams. And with Steph, with Westbrook, with Harden, with Lillard, with all the great guards, Klay Thompson, I could go on and on. In the West, Kyrie may have gone to Phoenix, had a terrible record, and not even been an all-star. It would have been downhill. It would have crushed him.
But, okay,
crushed his career.
So my point is
my point is just that he is definitely better off right now.
Right now.
In Boston. But just saying he's better off without LeBron virtually under any circumstance.
What about as a player, Chris?
He's playing the same. I mean, he's got more responsibility and more freedom, and he's in a better system. But as far as his game is the same. He averaged 25 points in Cleveland. He averaged 22 right now for Boston. He averaged more assists last year with the Cavs with LeBron than he's averaging now without him.
But again, I like to lean on...
Shooting percentage is the same.
Right. I like to lean on expectations. Coming in to the season, nobody was saying, man, these guys could reel off 16 in a row, have the best record. And when Gordon Hayward went down, all I heard anywhere was, this ain't even a top 4 team. Are they going to make the playoffs? They got a lot of young guys. And they are the best team in the league, and that's because of Kyrie Irving. And he may not have the numbers.
He's the major player. But Brad Stevens is
no doubt about it. He created Isaiah Thomas.
Exactly. In fact, Isaiah's numbers were much better than Kyrie's are right now.
But they didn't win like this. They had better defenders. They had Avery Bradley.
Well, their defense wasn't better. Their defense is better now.
It is. This team is on track to win 60 games, eclipsing what they did last year. But let me quickly go back to the expectations. I just feel like you were a big report card guy, right, in school? Your parents loved it when you came home with the exceeded expectations, right?
They would take me out to eat.
Yes, they would take you out to a nice
Big Mac
gumbo dinner.
One time we went
to
Johnny Bench's home plate in Cincinnati.
Impressive. A nice little touch there.
When I lived there.
But I got to say, when you look around the league, he has exceeded expectations. So far, we're like 1/5 of the way through, more than any other player and team in the league.
Team-wise, yes. Team-wise, yes.
I mean, Chris, when you watch them, he's creating in the lane. They're making the extra pass.
He's playing great.
Everybody knows we got to stop him, and nobody can stop him.
He's playing just like he played in Cleveland. He's playing tremendously. The clutch stuff is not new. We knew Kyrie was clutch. And here's the thing. If he was still in Cleveland, guess what? There's no doubt they'd be going to the finals. Now, you like him, but most people around the league still think Cleveland's going to the finals. And by the way, Cleveland has picked it up a little bit. All right? Now, here's the one.
Save that for next
Even
next
if
week
Boston doesn't get to the finals, here's why I still ride with your point that he's better off in Boston without LeBron.
Okay.
Because even if they got to the finals in Cleveland, they're getting beat. Barring injury, barring crazy suspensions like in 2016, Cleveland is still losing to Golden State.
I mean, they barely won a game last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Barely.
So Kyrie would have stayed in Cleveland, got to the finals, been an all-star, but not won.
Okay.
So that's why he's getting more individual love in Boston right now because he's the man. Statistically, he's not as good, but
are you on record
saying
he's
in the MVP race? He'll never be in the MVP race with LeBron.
Are you on record saying the Celtics have zero chance to win the finals?
Not zero. I said last week I'm 80% Cleveland, 20% Boston as far as winning the East.
Wow. 80% Cleveland.
80%.
Can you rewrite that down for a note so we run this back
I'm saying it
week?
with my chest.
He's going to lower it to 70. I've got it.
80%.
51-49 Boston. Okay, moving on.
Stop it.
Final topic. Big game tonight. You excited?
Yes.
How about this one? Let me lay it on you thick. I'm going to just let this marinate. I'm going to put it out there like I'm pushing a nice stew right in front of you. Ooh, licking your chops. Russell Westbrook is the problem in Oklahoma City. Don't laugh too hard. Listen, I'm not going to hit you with a million stats, but I will tell you this.
Get him out of the zone.
I'm going to
get him out of the zone right now.
A leopard does not change his spots. We saw Russell Westbrook last year. We've seen Russell Westbrook in the past.
Become the second player
he is a ball-dominant point guard. He don't like to pass.
You just praised Kyrie Irving. He is a ball-dominant point guard.
And he's winning. He's a winning player. Russell Westbrook under 500. Sorry. I got some stats for you. Ready?
16 games into the season. You think they're going to finish under 500? Let's get that on camera. Look into the camera.
I need to.
OKC
let me get back to my thesis. Okay, hold on.
Back up. That's what I thought.
Guess who is last in the NBA in passes per game? You just take a wild guess. Which team?
The Thunder.
The Thunder. Guess which team is first in isolation plays in the NBA? Isolation is from an old era.
Fault. That wouldn't be Billy Donovan, the coach's fault.
Russell Westbrook, you love stats, Chris. You love stats. This is for all the YouTube commenters who call you the GOAT. You love stats,
That's
all right?
Right, y'all. I keep the love
Russell
coming.
Westbrook down 11 points per game. Shooting percentage.
Of course, because he's sharing the rock.
Career low, 39%. Three-point percentage down. Free throw attempts down. He's not doing anything right. I'm telling you.
Wait.
Russell Westbrook is immensely talented.
Did you just say what I thought you said?
Number 2 in time of possession.
He's not doing anything right.
He just added Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. You'd think they'd spread the ball around, play a little more unselfish. Russell Westbrook is number 2 in the NBA in time of possession after James Harden. The man does not stop dribbling. He is 4th in the league in seconds per touch. He gets the ball. God. I'm just dribbling.
Look,
I'm just working it out on the perimeter. Listen,
whatever analytics.
The last one, I don't want to hit you too hard. Lastly, games decided by 3 points or less. Final 3 minutes. OKC 0-7. That's on the point guard. Take it away, Chris. Take it away.
Really?
Let me crack open this water. I just got fired up. I'm sorry.
Russell Westbrook is not doing anything right. You just said that.
He's the problem.
He's averaging 21 points, basically 10 assists, and 8 rebounds a game. Or actually, basically 9 rebounds a game. He's the leading rebounder on the squad.
Ooh, rebound.
Okay?
Yeah. Lonzo Ball's rebounding.
You said that Russell Westbrook is not a winning player.
He's not.
He's been to the NBA Finals.
Kevin Durant dragged him there.
He didn't drag him.
James Harden and Durant did.
Harden was not good in that final.
He was not good in the finals.
Russell Westbrook was phenomenal that season. He was a great player even then. He's been to several conference finals. Last year, he maximized the talent on that team.
First round.
You talked about isolation basketball as if that's a curse, as if that's Westbrook's fault. What did Cleveland play with LeBron and Kyrie? That's one of the reasons Kyrie wanted to get out of there, because they play isolation basketball. So my point is just that you can win playing isolation basketball, and Oklahoma City and Russell Westbrook are far from the only team and players to thrive in isolation.
Can I get a timeout in the zone real quick 30-second timeout?
Yes.
You just compared LeBron to Russell Westbrook?
No.
Are you out of your mind, Chris?
What I was saying is that don't rip Westbrook for being a great ISO player unless you're going to rip LeBron for being a great ISO player.
I'm not going to rip the second best player in NBA history for anything.
Okay,
he's won 3 titles, been to the finals every year.
Kyrie's an isolation player. There are a lot of isolation players in the league.
Kyrie is a take you off the dribble, and I'm going to pass it or score because nobody can stop me.
ISO play.
Well, that's because that was a bad system.
He's playing. Who was that on?
Oh, okay. So you're not. So you want to put on Billy Donovan?
I'm saying I will put it on Billy Donovan before I put it on Westbrook.
You add 2 Hall of Fame players.
And I will put it on Carmelo Anthony before I put it on Westbrook.
Why is it Melo's fault? The new guy. He's been there for 15 minutes.
Westbrook.
He hasn't even unpacked his suitcase, and you're blaming the guy?
Westbrook has proven that he can win at a high level. Melo has only been to the conference finals 1 time.
He won a title at
And I
Syracuse.
like Melo.
Just kidding.
I'm just saying, if there's a pecking order of who's to blame.
Yeah, give me the pecking order.
Westbrook is not. I would
What's
say
number 1?
Billy Donovan's got to find the right.
You think he's got a shot coaching 3
Is he
Hall
the
of
head
Famers?
coach? If he can't coach it, then get him out of there.
Okay, so you say Billy Donovan's 1. Who's 2?
Melo.
Where's Russell Westbrook?
He's not 2. He might be 3 or 4.
Who would?
Maybe 3 is the rest of the team.
So you want to? Okay.
Westbrook is a tremendous player. Now he's got
We
his
know
warts.
that he's a tremendous player,
He's not
but
LeBron
he's the
James.
problem.
He's got his warts, but the problem? Come on,
Chris.
Was he the problem when they had Kevin Durant?
As you said.
Was he the problem when they had Kevin Durant?
Yes, that's why Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City.
Really?
Hello.
Really? When they had a 3-1 lead, was he a problem?
Hey, did you see
When
the
they had
end
a
of
3-1
Game 6?
lead on Golden State.
Did you see the end of Game
I saw
6?
Westbrook and
Durant.
And
yes,
Durant
You get a
struggle.
little worked up here.
So I'm just saying, don't put it all on Westbrook. Again, he's got his issues. I would like to see him move the ball a little more late in games.
We're in the final minute
But
here. I want to add
he's
something.
the problem. If Westbrook wasn't in Oklahoma City, that team might have to move.
I agree.
I'm serious. They need to be thanking their lucky
I would
stars
agree.
for
You
Russell
have to have
Westbrook.
Westbrook. But I want to just quickly go back to this. They've changed a lot of pieces in the last 5-6 years. James Harden's gone. Kevin Durant's gone. They swapped coaches. There's been one constant.
They traded Harden.
Harden's
and they've had
one
tremendous
constant,
success as a
and his
franchise.
name is Russell Westbrook. Well, are you
But
going to
look
make the
how
leap?
successful they've been.
7-9 is tremendous success. Thanks for playing,
It's
Chris.
16. No, I'm talking about the years. This has been one of the most successful teams in the last decade.
And they've hit a
because
wall.
of
They've hit a
Russell Westbrook.
ceiling. They're boxed in
You
because
love
of
the
Westbrook.
Spurs. They won one title.
I love the Spurs.
One title in the last 10 years.
I love the Spurs.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't love the
You're
Spurs.
not criticizing the Spurs. They won one title in the last 10 years.
They've got tremendous upheaval. I mean, Tim Duncan's gone. That's
But
an old
my
team.
point is, we praise the Spurs for their success. They got one title in the last 10 years.
Okay.
You're killing Oklahoma City and Russell Westbrook. They've had tremendous success. They haven't won a championship. Did you kill Steve Nash in Phoenix? He didn't even get them to the conference final or to the finals.
I blame the referees for that Spurs-Sun series.
My point is that, look, they had a great run. Russell Westbrook is leading Oklahoma City on a great run.
Mm-hmm.
It probably won't end in a title.
Probably won't.
But there will be a Russell Westbrook era in Oklahoma.
Hey, there has to be. They got nobody else. Yeah, they got to enjoy
There's a Steve Nash era in Phoenix, even though they didn't get to the
of
finals.
course.
Just
I would
like
agree with
there's
that.
a Charles Barkley era in Phoenix, even though they never won it. Just like there's a Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic,
doubt. I don't disagree with that.
Divac era in Sacramento, even though they didn't win. I am destroying
Wait,
you.
what about a Jason McIntyre era in the zone?
Even though you
How
didn't
about
win
this
it.
era?
Even though you didn't win it. I won it. With that, we out. Nah, you don't even get none. We out in the zone. iTunes, Apple Podcasts,
Facebook.
SoundCloud.
Twitter. They're just screaming.